So to open up this evening's event, I'm going to invite Peter up to the stage, who is General Manager for EMEA for Databook. He spent the last 14 years or so building out consulting teams for Accenture and advising companies on growth in the media, tech, and communications industry. And then a few years ago, the founder of Databook approached him about the power of technology and the power of having a strategic tool so that when you are engaging with C-level executives, you have the right information at the right time to inform the decisions that you're looking to influence. So, Peter, can I get a round of applause for Peter and invite you up to the stage?
Can you hear me well? Does it work?
Are we on?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Okay.
Well, thanks a lot, James, for ruining my entire story. So I'm almost done. No, thanks a lot for the introduction, and big shout out to James and his team for this great event. I'm not alone here. I'm here together with my colleagues Jeanette and Bas. If you please raise your hands so everybody can see you, because obviously we would like to speak to every one of you after this small talk and the awards. I'm a little bit the odd one out, as you outlined. I've been spending the majority of my professional career in consulting. And then suddenly entering to a SaaS space was a nightmare, I can tell you. It was a big change, but also a very interesting change. And I used to work with Anand Shah, our co-founder and CEO, who founded Databook 5 years ago. We used to be working on what we called a client value lab. Now, it doesn't say anything to you, but basically it was a 360-degree analysis of any big and large prospect. But it took us 8 weeks to derive insights that would then drive opportunity prior to talking about our solution set, just the client value. But it took 8 weeks and we can only do one at a time. So he thought of this brilliant idea to scale this into a platform. And that's the foundation of Databook. I will explain a bit more how it works later on. And not to be all doom and gloom, but first of all, we need to have a little bit of a burning platform for any SaaS company, I would say, out there. So we see a couple of challenges, and that's also the purpose why we're here. So the rise of the strategic buyer is something we like to call, is an interesting dynamic, because there's so many more point solutions out there than there were in the past, in the very old days of just ERP and CRM. Not only that, but there are more buyers, not only in the IT space or the CIO space, but also in the lines of business. And to add more to that, they need to assess all the point solutions in a more complex enterprise landscape. So how do they do that? The problem is they can't tie business value to those solutions. So basically, let's think this in for a second. So somebody comes to them, we have this great feature, we have this great platform, we'll optimize your business, but what's the value? So they approach the value from the solution perspective, but they don't address the business value. Now, that might be a complex thing, but I'll show you a bit later how that works. On top of that, many of our SaaS sellers, our friends, they have tactical tools. Now, they all serve a purpose, but they basically optimize the cadence or the chain going from outreach all the way to closure. And they do a little bit of optimization, but they don't tie it back to value, business value for the customer. So how do you address that client value? And thirdly, if this works, well, we can almost read it here with the clicker. Of course, we all know what the current economic climate is, and we all have to do more with less. That's a problem, because how can you optimize the outcome, especially when a lot of SaaS companies and the enterprise companies we're focusing on, they have these big growth rates, historical growth rates, but they can't keep up with those. So how do you do that? And then, and then lastly, the SaaS growth model, as we know it from the big tech, just adding more salespeople with more quota is not per se going to move the needle. And also, if you even enhance your product, the challenge with that is that, given current economic climate, customers are not always willing to pay for it, or they don't need it right now. So we have a lot of problems, basically. So how do we solve these? And I know this is difficult to read, but I'll just explain what the platform does for a second. So what we continuously bring together is the strategic priorities of any of our 50,000 companies on the platform. We combine that with an algorithm that shows what management is talking about. So the C-suite continuously shares presentations, are on investor calls. So we have keyword searches and algorithms that allow for the dissection of those important elements. And then thirdly, we have a continuous engine that looks at the financial performance of these companies. Now, even though that's complex corporate finance material, we make it really simple for the seller to look at a couple of key metrics which will allow you to see whether it's a growth problem, an SG&A, a supply chain problem. We dissect that. But we also look at budget cycle and buying cycle. So many companies say, well, we have this great relationship, let's go for this big opportunity in Q4. We can already see, given the performance of that company, that that deal is not going to land in that quarter. And by the way, we work with Microsoft, AWS, and Salesforce globally, one of our largest, three of our largest customers, and they use this as scale, because what we try to do is bring those basically persona-based sellers up a notch or two so they can address value with their customers, and that increases the entire pipeline. Now, how do we do this? We combine all these things through metadata with your recommended sales plays. So whenever a seller goes on the platform in an industry vertical looking at a specific prospect, he or she will see what the recommended sales plays are. I can share you a little anecdote. I was with a customer last week, and then the customer was about to say what their challenges were. But we already saw on the platform the first three. Those were the three challenges they had. So our use cases, we use it ourselves, of course. Drink your own champagne, as we say. They surfaced already their key pain points. So this actually works quite well. And then to make matters even better, the propensity to buy score is a score that continuously changes on the platform. So it allows not only sellers, but also heads of sales and CROs to identify whether this company is actually in the market for your solution. Not in general, but specifically for your solution. So for who benefits from this? Oh, sorry. So if we go all the way through the chain, the BDR and SDR, if they use the platform, they're able to carve out a specific notion of what management is talking about with a piece of value. And if they tie that together, and we help them do that, actually the amount of meetings go up with at least 20%. So it's quantity, it's not quantity anymore, it's quality over quantities, apologies. And then for the account executive, you just saw the sales plays that are being serviced, but it allows them to save a lot of time. So we know from research that they spend on average about 30% in front of the customer. And that's not what we want. As sales leaders, as coaches, we want them to be as much in front of the customer as possible. And it's also the fun part, and that's what they like most, right? So how can we improve that? Well, by diminishing the amount of research time that one needs. So it helps. And we also are integrated with Microsoft Dynamics and Sales Cloud. So it provides a business health lens to their opportunity landscape. So it's not a sales admin tool anymore, but you get the intelligence with it. Now for regional sales leaders, we can help them optimize the territory by stack ranking these companies in their pitch, or in the patch, sorry, and then show them what the propensity to buy is, so they can look at which ones to prioritize. And then finally, for a CRO, it's of course the most important thing is stability in forecasting. I just spoke with one of our other speakers tonight about how can you have a plan that forecasts the right thing. And that allows for continuous account planning. So not make a plan for the year, but every quarter look at what the propensity to buy is of the companies in your territory. And that really helps in the forecast predictability. We get the BS out, if I can actually say that. So that really helps. So all in all, to keep it short, I hope I'm in time, we want to say strategy over spam, put the strategy at the heart of the pitch, become more client-centric, close more deals with a higher ACV. Thank you.